like several years ago, I had this idea, this perception, this wondrous moment of intuition on the shore of the Libyan Sea on Crete. As I watch the beach every morning, I come to the beach and see it is shaped differently. Okay, the stones are shifted. Sometimes it's completely flat and soft sand, which invites you to run because you admire it so much. Sometimes it is raised into several terraces, and the sizes of the stones are different on each terrace, and so it's always different. And when I go down, I see it already from the top, and admire it as a kind of foamy robe of the Oceania, as I call her, the goddess, the elementary goddess of the sea. And I say, show me, what did you do? How did you shape the beach today? What kind of clothes you put on? What kind of rhythm and wavy dance and reflection of the sun you were showing me? And as I walked in the waves on the beach, I watch it, and then I realized, as it is, when it is flat, it is running high, white, foamy, stops running, sucks into the sand, retreats, pulled back to the ocean, and the next wave is coming. Turning over, falling, crushing, foamy. And if the day is special, in which the mother Oceania and the local goddess, the genius loci, the elementary power of the biosphere, wants to show herself in all her beauty and induce a metaphysical enlightenment, insight in the humanoid who is walking in this foam and on the sand and is truly loving the sand, the foam, the waves, the reflection of the sun. Because I must confess, I have never seen a human being or an animal or a tree or a plant that would be more beautiful for me, for my subjective aesthetic experience, than the play of the sun in the waves of a lake or a sea as it is running on the shore. I don't know why. I can watch this change of shape, color, and light and plasticity of water forever. It is like, this is my home. By the way, I have therefore a different image and symbolic image of the sea than Nietzsche had in his famous metaphor of the will to power. Nietzsche uses a metaphor or an image of the sea as it is crashing on the shore, and explains then that there are so many and so many centers of power due to the geometry of the rocks and the thrust of incoming waves. The incoming waves get broken and pushed and, run through the crevices in the rocks and through the shape of the walls of the rocks and so and so. And if you watch it for a longer time, you will find a pattern. And some of those patterns will be the strongest. Let us say they will transform the incoming waves into their own kind of repercussions and repeated thrust of the waves coming back to the sea and so on. And Nietzsche would then postulate this is an analogon, a symbolic image of the will to power in man and basically in all living matter, that it simply subdues, controls, dominates the flow of power, of energy around it, and it transforms it into its own radiating power. In the case of the sea, geometry of the waves being repelled from the rock of a certain shape. It may be true physically for the behavior of water on the rocky coast. But it is only a small section of the shore of the whole island, let us say. And I was lucky to stand on those beautiful sandy beaches that were like water was coming like soft kissing lips of Oceania. No, rocky obstacles. So my analogon of this is different. Of life. It is an endless embracement and merging and beauty of the sun, water, shore, and the ripples. The most beautiful for me are the ripples of the sun that are running through the water and on the stones on the bottom here. How do they are reflections from the waves that move above the ground and the sun that is shining. And this is so enormously beautiful, so living, so as I have an image that this is the best I can get to visualize the software of the living biospheric soul. These are the merging, spatial merging and interferences of the informational soul fields, of the morphogenetic fields of the biosphere of the mother planet. The mystics of the Orphic cult, Orpheus, Orpheus is our friend. Because with his lyre, he was able to overcome death. This is also a symbolic image of the returning back to the primordial, to this pre-ego condition of interference between the soul fields of the living matter. Orpheus overcomes death by putting the Kerberos, the three-headed dogs that were guarding the entrance into the Hades, to sleep by his lyre. Okay, so you know the story about Orpheus, Eurydice, and so on. It has a moral significance that he then is not, successful in freeing Eurydice because his ego eats him up. He has doubts, as Persephone grants him, and Hades grants him under the pressure of Persephone, because Persephone is the wife of the Hades, and she was kidnapped, and she never experienced true love, and she is stricken by the true love of Orpheus, Talbot Eurydice, who has died, who is in the Hades, and she makes kind of a household warning to Hades: if he is not going to free Eurydice, that will be hell for him, because Persephone admires the loving power of Orpheus, even his music. So condescendingly, Hades says, okay, I want to have some peace in my realm of death after all. They all should be, classified and dead. So I let him go, I let her go, but he makes a little sting argument saying like that you must not turn back, you will not hear her steps because she's a ghost, and if you turn back, she will have to return. So this is a moral, the fables and the myth also were then transformed from the mystical, let us say, ontological description into some moral warning. That is, say simply, if you want to start a new life, don't worry about the past. Believe in the present and don't allow your ego to pull you back. But for us, a different part of the Orphic wisdom is important in this relationship to the sun dancing arabesques in the water of the sea on the shore. As we have said, that was the moment I was given the initiated vision of the ontology and essence and time. I watched the waves and I said, now they are on the brink, now the thrust of the waves is dissipating, now they stop rising, they fall back, they suck into the sun, they ran. And then I had a vision that if the waves would be really running from the horizon to the shore, which is not true, okay? We know the wave function of the sea is different. The water is standing, and the mass of water in each place is simply rising and falling, and this pattern moves forward and creates an optical illusion that a wave is running, but actually only water is heaving and falling in the same place. Only when it gets to the shore, it gets lifted from the shore, and then in the last moment, the last mass of water is really running and splashing on the shore and falling back. But I had this vision that if it would be like a metaphor, an analogon of time. The wave would be coming really from the horizon, from the origin, from beyond the horizon, from the origin of time. It would run and take with it all similar patterns. Then it would crash on the shore and fall back and run on the shore of the ocean back to the origin, rise up to the surface and run back forward again to the shore, collect all that is similar and crush it on the shore and go back again to the origin on the bottom of the sea in the opposite direction, rising back up and so on endlessly. So each wave that is running on the shore is filled with the origin, with everything that was similar on its journey. Yes, it is similar to the conception of the Greeks about the sunrise. The Greeks have seen the sea in ancient Hellas, falling into the sea, coming out of the sea. And truly, if you see the sun disk coming from the sea, it is not a disk. It is an ellipsoid egg. If it comes directly from the water due to the optical, illusion of light, it is an egg. It is like a head of a newborn child, and the early morning surface of the ocean is heaving, breathing slowly like a huge belly of the mother ocean. So it was only natural to see that the sun child is born from the mother belly on the horizon of the ocean mother. And truly, as it is rising, it is like a head. It is kind of egg-shaped, and when it is just over the horizon, it has even a kind of neck, because the mirroring of the sun in the water creates an illusion of a connection between the sun disk over the water and the water surface, as if there was a bridge of light. Okay, so, and then they have said, okay, the sun child is rising, running over the sky, that was then Helios, and then descending in the west again to the sea, to the arms of the mother, Gaia, and then it's put to sleep in a special boat, and an underwater river carries it to the new morning exit from the mother's womb to the air. Boom. So my conception of time, accumulation, condensation, was shaped according to this early Greek myth of the rebirth of the sun. And I felt that this is it. Every present moment is saturated with all that ever happened in this location. And if you imagine the human soul as a kind of small ocean, microcosm, macrocosm idea, then every present moment you experience is a condensation of all the moments that you have ever experienced. This led me later to changing of the visual spatial image of phenomenal time experience into an image of a tree of time. If you have planted a tree, as I did, some 30 years ago, and you come on the bicycle around as you see this tree growing, then you remember it, how it was small, how it was bigger, how it is great now, how it is large, high, and so on. So, the substance of the tree stem, for example, if you cut it then later when it is 100, 200 years old, you see the circles. The earliest circles are in the middle. This is the past. But it is there. And as it is growing, the rings are getting larger, and then smaller and smaller according to various nourishment periods of the centuries. But it is all there. The past is solidified in the middle of the stem. So, the branches are growing, the leaves are growing, but the present day growing of the branches and the leaves is nevertheless an uninterrupted, fluid, continuous heritage of the first moments of the tree when it was first budding and growing from the earth as a little one. So this is it. This is the conception of time I have now. Every present moment is, everything is there whatever was. But it is accessible only in ecstasy. Only if the flattening and linear influence of the ego is, dissolved. There you can rejuvenate yourself in the source, in the waves of time running from your origin, from the phenomenal origin, and it is the period of your prenatal paradise. We were living in the ocean of your mother's womb, and then the first years out of the mother's body before the ego spark gets you and makes your time conception linear and the phenomenal world to objectified, sharply defined entities, and your emotional and phenomenal experience into conceptualized models of the world. And the life force, why should we protest? I mean, we are getting, wise and clever, and philosophy and religion and science and politics and culture and everything. It is interesting now. And it is giving us pleasure and success. But it is also giving us terror and horror and competition and war and death. And the rejuvenation in the source is possible. We do not know what it would be like to live then again permanently in the egoless condition, in the womb of the mother, in the early childhood. And you should believe and try to imagine that this was the condition of the whole societies before the birth of the so-called historical, as I say, hysterical and historical man, before the birth of the writing architecture in the sense of monumentalizing, of freezing the flow of phenomena into signs, letters, words, concepts. Well, and I told you about the waves of the sea and the broken light in it, as it is the most fascinating perception, phenomenal perception I can have. And I can stare into it forever. And I feel it reshaping the cellular structure of my organs, bones, and so on. When I stir into it in ecstasy, without an ego, which, to be honest, is possible only when you are alone. And when you are alone a long time on the shore of Atlantis, which is Crete, south coast. If you would be doing it as a workshop, if you would be teaching it to somebody, and it's not possible, it is unfortunate, but one of the last obstacles for the initiated of the Aloysian mysteries, as I call it also, to the metaphysics of space and time and elementary life, elementary experience, is the ego immediately stepping forward and saying, yes, you have discovered the ultimate truth of life. Now you have to pass it on. You have to teach it. Oh, alas, and it's lost immediately because the ego is very Those of you who have gone through a longer meditation, especially Zen style, will know what I'm talking about. The ego is never to be tricked. It always recedes or ascends one level higher and pretends to be the dissolver, the savior, the one who is, bringing the mystery. No, you cannot do this intentionally. This must happen, only it must happen. Like today, on the bardic mats, I have 3 mats, lying after yesterday, great day of tennis training on the tennis ball. I had this feeling of, I can say it now without pretending that I am teaching, or that I am, so to say, hypnotizing myself into believing it. So what about those light reflections in the water as it is running to the shore? And the Orphic myth and the Orphic mysteries. There is a myth of a creation of man in the files of the Orphic mysteries, which goes like this. Apollo, another guy who is in our crowd, sometimes when he is playing lyre and when he is the god of art and the god of beauty, then he is our friend. But in his egoistic variation, he is also very jealous and angry and destroyer. So we take only the good one. Apollo, in his good moment, was playing on the harp or lyre, and was catching the sunlight on the strings with his godlike harmonies, thus transforming the polychromatic light of the sun into a monochromatic kind of matrix that he shaped as a human body. It was the light matrix of the human body, made of, let's say, recurring vibration of monochromatic light. And monochromatic light, which is one wavelength, right, is capable of carrying information. Okay. Whatever is regular and dynamic can be made into a code by simply, inducing patterns. Okay, so there was this standing, wavy kind of matrix of sunlight that was yet of the same wavelength, and this has the effect on the matter of the earth to be sucked in, jumped in, and start living according to the light information, embodying in it. It's another analogon of our biocentric phenomenology basic model of what really is happening. Das Geschehen in German. What really is happening. What is the reality? In German, Wirklichkeit. What is wirklich? What is actually happening, effective? That is the software realm of the morphogenetic soul fields that merge according to the principles of attraction of the similar, on repulsion of the dissimilar, and embodying immanently out of their specification is to embody into living matter. This is another analogon for it. Apollo creates out of music, vibrations, and the sunlight, a matrix, a morphogenetic field of the human body that immediately embodies in the living matter of the biosphere of this planet. Okay, which is another perspective of saying that the matter of the earth, the dust, was sucked in, elevated into this matrix and started to live as a human being. Well, whatever you may think about it, I think I see, definitely it is more beautiful. And I like to be shaped like that. I don't see what beauty is in making a man out of the mud. If you try to do it, now you will see how dirty you get and how distorted the shapes will be. The potters know that. And then what remains is when dust is shaped by water, and then it dries. Okay, it functions sometimes, and then returns to the dust. Whereas if you are a light matrix, your essence, then you can be renewed by staring into the light, dancing arabesques of the light in water, and projecting it into your body. Or another analogon, by regressing into the childish, egoless state of being directly shaped by the soul field of the mother, which is again shaped by the soul field of the great mother, Gaia, and which is, if you want to be, more Nag Hammadi mystical, the great mother Gaia is shaped by the morphogenetic field of the light matrix of the sapphire. According to the Nag Hammadi codices, very beautifully retold in the book, Not in His Image, by the great initiate of Mother Sapphire Gaia, John Lamb Blash. Hello. Okay, I have my contribution here to this, as you have noticed. So, a strange experience I have in the last months of the year 2025, January, February, that I cannot feel as a valid contributor to the problems of the Earth, planet, biosphere if I don't voice these inner feelings, emotions, and inner knowledge, the gnosis that I have accumulated by combining the biocentric phenomenology of Ludwig Lagers, the whole work of Friedrich Nietzsche, his re-evaluation of all values method, and his also deep insights into the essence of language and the body. Then the theory of morphogenesis of Rupert Sheldrake, okay, that gives me the suitable visual imagery for all my metaphors of time, space, soul, body, embodiment, merging, time, condensation, and so on. And my observations, my phenomenal observations over the last, let us say, 30 years, mainly on the shores of the Libyan Sea on Crete, and here on the shore of the Lake Constance, and in the forests, of the Alpine region and Bohemian forest.